Hear me? This is what happens when you're not Karan Johar. Everybody just leaves. Uh, it's so exciting to be in a room full of advertising people, yeah? Uh, you guys are the most creative people in the country, also the most frustrated. Just imagine your entire life depends on a guy who's done an MBA and who knows nothing about anything except Microsoft Excel and is probably colorblind. I love hanging out with ad people. They're a lot of fun. I've never been in advertising myself, but the few times that I have hung out with my ad friends, it's really awesome to meet them, especially when they're drinking together. It's like, so I'm like, dude, like, what's happening? And they're like, bro, my life is fucked. The client is fucking me. I'm like, what happened? He says, dude, the client came to us and said, he has this product and he wants us to go completely crazy on this one. Because last time we didn't go completely crazy. So he said, dude, this time you just go completely crazy. So I decided I'll go completely crazy. So we went completely crazy. And when we presented him the idea, he's like, dude, you went 100% crazy. I said like 90% crazy, 80% crazy. And then there's always this one guy whom you're having a smoke with, and he's like, dude, I want to quit. I want to quit. I want to leave this. I'm done. So for me, being connected to something like advertising is very fascinating because I'm going to tell you guys my story and tell you how advertising has been closely related to what I've done. Throughout my life, everyone around me always taught me this one word, right? Think. Varun, you have to think before you do anything in life. Without thinking, nothing is possible. Think, man. My friends, my family, my teachers, everybody said think. So I began to think. But I soon realized that this one word is causing me more harm than anything else. But then I came across these two words. And I soon realized that these two words are actually helping me do what I want to do. So I'm going to tell you guys my story, and I'm going to tell you how these two words have really helped me shape my life. When I was in school, I used to think a lot, right? I used to even think before asking my teacher to go take a leak. All of that thinking got me into a lot of trouble because I didn't end up doing anything at all. But then, in the 12th standard, I became extremely fascinated by this concept of filmmaking. The fact that you can take a handycam and show the rest of the world what's inside your head, I thought that was really fascinating. So I started making short films with my mom's handycam, with my mom, my dog, my cat, whoever was willing to act in them, and started showing them to whoever was willing to watch them. At the end of 12th standard, I came up with this really stupid idea that I should be a filmmaker. Stupid because in India, if you want to be anything other than an engineer or a doctor, you're considered to be a terrorist, right? So I decided to go up to my mom, and with my mom, there's always this one character called Anu Auntie. Now, who is Anu Auntie? Anu Auntie is that friend of your mom who's more interested in your life than her own, right? She's more concerned about what you're doing, how many marks you're scoring, which school you're going to do an MBA from, whom you're marrying, when you're going to die, blah, blah, blah. So I decided I'd go and tell my mom, and Anu Auntie always happens to be around, and I went and told them that I want to be a filmmaker. Obviously, as soon as they heard that, they were not very happy because this is the expression they gave me. They were like, wait, what? Filmmaking? What the hell is that? Is that even a profession? What's wrong with you? The problem was they made me do this. They made me think, maybe I won't be a successful filmmaker. Maybe I won't make enough money. Maybe I won't get a job at Infosys. Maybe I won't get any dowry, right? This one word caused me a lot of harm because it got me into this. Now, not that I have anything against engineering, but I hated it. I hated engineering. Every minute, every second, everything about engineering, I just hated. And I was forced into engineering and forced to study a degree that I never liked and never wanted to do. But something really cool happened in engineering. For the first time in my life, I failed. Up until then, I had never ever failed in my life. But for the first time in my life, I failed. And that one moment of failure turned out to be my biggest moment of success. Because when you fail in India, you become an outcast. Nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody thinks you're going to be ever successful in life. What it did to me was that from now on, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone anymore, except myself, right? So I decided that maybe I'm going to stop thinking so much. So I picked up my handycam again, and I started making all my short films again, because that's what I really liked. And in 2006, I was browsing through video sites, because when you were a teenager, that's how you would land up on porn sites, so that because you'd say, oh, I never searched for porn, it just showed up, so now what am I supposed to do? So I'm searching for video sites, and I come across this one little site. it has this red button on it, and it says that if you click here, anybody, anywhere in the world can see your video. Obviously, that website is now known as youtube.com, but in 2006, when I saw that website, I was like, what? This is so cool, because till now, I'm making all my short films, I'm making DVDs out of them, I'm putting them in a DVD player, and forcing my friends and family to watch them. Now I don't have to do that anymore. I can just click upload and hope that anybody somewhere else can watch my videos. So I started uploading all my films on YouTube, and some of them went mini viral, and some people started watching them. And I started getting some messages from people who don't know me, who've never seen me, who've never met me, saying that, hey, I liked your film. And that's when I realized that the biggest motivation in life comes when someone whom you've never met, never spoken to, never heard of, tells you that you're good at something, right? For us, motivation has always been about people around us. But these people are bound to motivate you because they know you. But the greatest motivation comes when people who don't know you tell you that you're good at something. That inspired me a lot to continue making films. Luckily, a few companies in Bangalore saw my films as well, and they started offering me money to make corporate videos in AVs and all of that for them. So in the first year of college, I started my first company, Last Minute Films, because in engineering, everything happens at the last minute, right? In advertising as well, everything happens at the last minute. So I started my company, Last Minute Films, and I started making a lot of money while making films. Then a year later, in 2007, there was this rock band called Pentagram who asked me to make a music video for them. So I made that music video, and we put it up on YouTube then in 2007, and it got 100,000 views. So that's when we knew that, there is a lot of potential in YouTube. The thing was, this production company in Bombay saw the video. So in my third year of college, they flew me down, and they offered me a job to direct music videos. Not to be an intern, not to be an assistant, not to be a gopher, but to actually direct, right? And I was like, shit, this is what I wanted. I mean, this is it. This is what I was been aiming for. And I thought that I don't have to go back to Bangalore anymore. I'm going to quit engineering. I'm going to drop out. And yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted. So I called up my mom, and Anu auntie always happens to be around, and I said, hey, guys, I'm not coming back. This is it. I've got what I wanted. Obviously, they're not very happy with that decision. They were like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Come back to Bangalore, finish your engineering, and then we will see. So I came back to Bangalore. I finished my one long, torturous year of engineering. But the moment I finished that, I decided that from now on, this is what I'm going to do, right? So I took a one-way bus ticket to Bombay. I landed up in that same production company's office, asking them, do you guys still, have a job for me? Surprisingly, they did, and they offered me a job to direct music videos. I was 19 years old then, and 2 months later, they sent me to Chennai to direct Mr. Rahman in a promo video. And I was shit scared, because I had just finished engineering, and here I was directing an Oscar winner and telling him what to do. The funny thing is, about our education system, you're never taught to lead. You're always taught to follow, right? And a situation like this got me really, really scared, because I was like, wait, all those days in school, you were taught not to raise your hand to ask the teacher a question. All those days in school, you were asked not to question anything, not to argue, not to fight back. But in a situation like this, you got to stand up for yourself and say, Mr. Rahman, you may be an Oscar winner, but I need to get this shot this way, and this is how we're going to do it. So obviously, the shoot went off well, thankfully. But what he told me at the end of the shoot was something that I've still kept in my life. He said, Varun, no matter what you do in life, even if it's as good as gardening, if you love what you do, you'll be the best at it, no matter what. I kept those words with me for a lot of time. A few months later, I was directing a music video for Shankar Ehsaan Loy. The problem was, the star of the music video was Preeti Zinta. This was when she was still hot. The problem was, she refused to believe I was the director. I was 20 years old then, and I think I looked 14. So I had spoken to her on the phone. I had never interacted with her personally. I had explained the script to her over the phone. A day before the shoot, I practiced my monologue as to what I'm going to tell her when I meet her. And I thought, shit, this monologue is so cool, she'd probably want to marry me after I say it. So on the day of the shoot, I'm all nervous, because this is like somebody whom all of us had a crush on from Dil Chahta Hai, and here I'm directing her. So on the day of the shoot, I went up to her trailer, and for 20 minutes, I narrated my monologue as to how the shoot is going to be, and how I'm going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And then she looks at me and says, but who's the director? She thought that we were playing an MTV Bakra on her, right? Because she thought that I was a spot boy or something, and I was not the director. It took my producer, my cinematographer, all of them to come and convince her, yeah, this kid is the director. We have no clue how, but he is the director. The funny thing is, all throughout the shoot, she kept looking over her shoulder to see if an MTV Bakra crew is just going to come and bust it out. Now, you have to realize, I'm 20 years old, right? There's a movie star. There's a crew of 40 people who are twice my age. The 20 kids, and I'm supposed to be their boss. I'm supposed to tell them what to do. It's the scariest feeling in the world. I wanted to run away. I just wanted to run away to my mom. Seriously, I just want to run away from that because that is a situation you do not want to deal with at that age. But something completely different actually helped me get through that situation. It's this book called We Bought a Zoo. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie starring Matt Damon. It has a very profound line in the book. It says, all you need in life is 20 seconds of courage. Because it's in the first 20 seconds that you really decide whether you're going to do something or not. And if you cross that 20-second threshold, then your mind really gets confused. Just to give you an example, there's this famous incident in the book where the lead character is walking down the street and he sees this pretty girl sitting in a coffee shop. And he's like, wow, what a pretty girl. I wish I could just go and tell her that, I think you're really pretty. Now, at this situation, you have two choices. Go to her and tell her you're really pretty, or just say that, why should I get into trouble, man? Yeah, she's pretty, so what do I care for? Yeah, she's pretty, I'll just walk away. But he thought, no, I should tell her because I really believe that she's really pretty and I should tell her that. And he said, 20 seconds of courage, 20 seconds of courage. I can do this, I can do this. Nothing is going to happen. Just let me go in and just let me tell her that. He goes into the coffee shop and he says, hey, sorry for barging in. I just thought that you're really pretty. Thanks, bye. Happens that the girl also was having a bad day and she just got fired from her job. She says, hey, that's so sweet. That's the nicest thing anybody has told me the whole week. Would you mind joining me for a cup of coffee? Coffee leads to love leads to marriage leads to kids, and whatever. What I'm trying to say is that we miss out on small decisions in our life that can completely transform our lives, which we actually ignore, which we actually think are irrelevant, which we actually think are insignificant. When people say that the universe conspires for you to get something, it's these small incidents that you act upon that the universe actually conspires. There is no big glory. There is no, oh, I want to achieve this and I want to do that. Have you realized that 99% of the time, those things don't really work out, right? None of our plans actually work out. That's because we miss out on the smaller plans. We miss out on the smaller decisions that we can take that can actually transform our lives. So I finished this shoot and it went well. But after I finished the shoot, I got very disillusioned with the whole filmmaking thing in Bombay. I realized that I had to get approvals from the client for the clothes they wear, and like Karan said, for the cake they eat and for everything. And I'm like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, this is not giving me any satisfaction. Why am I doing this? I am basically a male hooker, right? Because I'm literally doing everything that they want me to do. That's it. So I was like, I'm going to go back to Bangalore and see where my life takes me next. Surprisingly, my life took me in a completely different direction when I went back to Bangalore. And it made me do something that I never anticipated in my life. It made me into an entrepreneur, and the story started in a bar. So obviously, since it has to be in Bangalore, it has to be in a pub. My friend and I were getting wasted. I believe the greatest of business ideas are born when you're really smashed. Because when you're smashed, you lose inhibitions. And when you lose inhibitions, you go back to being your 8-year-old self, where you believe if you make a piece of paper into a plane, it can fly, right? If you guys see Game of Thrones, there's this famous scene where Sansa Stark and Littlefinger, they're sitting in this inn, and Littlefinger is having a mug of ale. And Sansa Stark asks Littlefinger, why do men drink? And he says, men drink because it's the only time they can lose their fear, right? So my friend and I were getting smashed, and we were talking about how we miss our school. So we went to this school called Bishop Cotton's, and we said we should just get sweatshirts with the word Cottonian written on it, because we were called Cottonians, and wear it ourselves, like how they have in Harvard and Stanford and all of that. But then we were drunk, right? So when you're drunk, anything is possible. So then we said, dude, why not this for every school and college in this country? Which is a pretty big dream to have, considering there are 200 million students in this country, right? And there are close to 50,000 colleges, 60,000 schools, blah, 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 blah. But we said, you know what? Let's do this. We're drunk. Nothing really matters. Let's do this for every school and college in this country. Things got so excited that the waiter started asking us for equity. So we wrote down our piece of business plan on a piece of tissue paper. And like always, most of these business ideas die out when you wake up with your hangover. But we thought, you know what, we should make this happen. No matter what, we should give this a shot. So now that we had a business idea, which is to make merchandise for students of every school and college in this country, we had to be very careful. Because if we go to mom and anu auntie, we know what's going to happen there, right? The problem was, we didn't know anything about running a business. Where do you make t-shirts? What do you know about e-commerce? Where will you get your money from? Where will you do your printing? Now keep in mind, this is 2008, right? Before the entrepreneurship boom in India. Before entrepreneurship was a dirty word. Before your mom would never want you to talk to a strange man who's giving you money, right? This is all a time when entrepreneurship was a taboo in India. E-commerce was in a state where there was no logistic company that knew what cash on delivery was, right? And investments were unheard of. So we were trying to start an online company then, which was very, very difficult. But we thought that, this is something that we really wanted to do, so we want to go ahead with it. Most people in our place would do this, right? They would come up with these fancy Excel sheets and charts and numbers and project and see if this would be successful and 5 years earning and P&L. But 4 years of engineering, and they never taught me how to use Microsoft Excel. And I realized Microsoft Excel is the only thing you need in your entire life to be successful, right? This entire room comes down to an Excel sheet. Everything in the world comes down to an Excel sheet because everybody in the world is a salesman, right? Microsoft Excel is probably the only thing you need to learn after your 12th grade and get to work. You do not need those 4 years of engineering or 3 years of a degree, right? So I didn't know how to use Microsoft Excel, so I decided that screw it, we anyway don't know how to do any of this. This is what we'll do, right? So we found a manufacturer friend in Tripur who decided to make some samples for us. We spoke to the principal of Bishop Cotton's to come and help us set up a stall during the Old Boys Day. He agreed. So we got samples made, we set up a stall, and we showed up at Bishop Cotton's with these sweatshirts. And the first 2 hours, nothing sold. But the end of the day, we sold 2,500 sweatshirts. That's when we knew, hey, maybe the idea is working. Maybe this can work. Maybe this can go somewhere. Best part was, when all these Cottonians started wearing their sweatshirts, students from other schools got insecure. And we're like, hey, where do we get ours from? Right? Where do we buy what you guys are making for Bishop Cotton's? FAPS is actually a school. So the thing was, now we knew that this could work. The problem was that we were 2 kids in Bangalore, 22-year-olds, trying to start a business to touch schools and colleges across the country, right? That's when we knew that the only way we can make that real idea work is to start an online company, to actually start an online company. So in 2009, we started our online company, almamaterstore.in, with the sole aim to make merchandise for students of colleges across India. But there was a problem. It was 2008. Nobody was willing to partner with us. No logistic company was even willing to sign with us. Our schools and colleges thought we were coming to them for admission. Our parents were really worried. The best part was when we actually decided to start our business, everything around us started going wrong. Auntie obviously called me a t-shirt salesman. She had a field day. My mom thought that I'll never get dowry in my entire life. And I soon realized that the fear was actually not external, it was within. I realized that I was scared that I will fail. Because there are only 2 reasons why people don't follow their dreams in this country. First is they're scared of failing. Second is once they fail, they're afraid of log kya kahenge, right? These are the 2 major reasons why people actually don't do anything in their life. But then, if you really look deep into it, the only truth in life is that we all have to die. Everybody in this room is going to be dead in 50 years, below the ground. Everybody in this room is going to be dead. In fact, for you advertising guys, I give 40. But everyone in this room is going to be dead. And we human beings have this false sense that we're immortal and we're going to live forever. We do jobs that we don't like. We marry people that we don't love. We do things that we never ever wanted to do, only so that we could show people around us. Now you tell me, when you're 70 years old and that nurse comes to you and says, "Sir, time ho gaya," will anybody care? Nobody, except yourself. And that's the moment when you can't have any regrets. Because then it just ends. It's over. It's finished. And if you can keep that thought in your mind that one day you're going to die, and keep that thought that one day that nurse is going to come and say it's over, and she asks, "Do you have any regrets? Do you have any regrets that you didn't do anything in life?" Just remember that that will help you to make the right choices in life. That'll help you to not care about what other people think about you. That'll help you to really do what you believe in, to really love people that you really want to love, to do things that you really want to love. So we decided that, you know what, anyway we have to die, so let's go ahead with the company. So we started going out the company. The first 2 years were really difficult, but soon things began to change. We grew from a 2-man team to a 50-man team. We got featured on the cover of all the newspapers, magazines, and this is where alma mater is today, my company. We've worked with over 5,000 schools and colleges in over 400 different cities with close to $3 million in revenue and profitable. But you know what? You know what's the funny thing? It was not about that we created a successful business. It's not about that we had this massive revenue. It is not about that, we became these cool entrepreneurs. A year later, I was sitting in that same pub, and a random kid walked past me wearing a Cottonian sweatshirt. For me, that was success. That was pure happiness. Because that's the only thing I'll take back when I die. There's no amount of money I can take back from here. There's no amount of anything I can take back. The only thing I can take back is memories. And memories are created when you prove something to yourself, saying, I wanted to do this, and I did it, and I really did it. In the meantime, we kept last-minute films running, and I started this thing called Enthu Cutlets, which was an offshoot of Last Minute Films, which is a YouTube content creation company. And the few videos we made got over 20 million views on Facebook and video, which suddenly made me realize that everything that little website in 2006 promised is actually transforming everything in the world right now. My mom does not watch television anymore. She's on YouTube, right? My dad is on YouTube. In the next 5 years, everybody's probably going to be on YouTube or Netflix. Like how you remember, nobody said film will be dead and digital will never replace film, right? How you'd still continue to shoot in 35mm and 70mm no matter what. There are no 35mm films being shot, right? Television is going to die. Stop fighting technology. Nobody in this world can fight technology. An example of that is Nokia. In 2005, every Indian had a Nokia phone. That company is bankrupt, dead, but the CEO cried at the press conference during the closing of his company. BlackBerry, every entrepreneur, businessman, everyone had a BlackBerry. Nobody thought a BlackBerry could ever be replaced, ever. BlackBerry is a dead company, right? Computers, PCs, nobody uses PCs anymore. Printers, things that you thought couldn't ever leave are going. Self-drive cars, are you guys serious? You won't be driving anymore. Look where the world is going. The stupidity would be to challenge technology. The stupidity would be that digital will never replace anything. The stupidity is to question it. You can't question this. Just like how things go viral, they're not in our control. They are viraling, and tech is viraling to an extent that you cannot imagine. In a few years, artificial intelligence is going to take over everything, right? We will not be going out to shop anymore. With a click of a button, you'll have the entire showroom in your living room where you can pick it, feel it, buy it, do anything. That is where the world is moving. So the stupidest thing is to fight technology, because when you do that, you end up dead. I now come to the last part of my talk, which is about Anu Aunty. So Anu Aunty was such a pain in the ass and such a big obstacle in my life, right? So I decided to do something about this Anu Aunty. So I decided that I should write some blogs about Anu Aunty. These blogs were really popular, and then somebody suggested, bro, your Anu Aunty blogs are really popular, why don't you write a book about Anu Aunty? I was like, wait, that's a really stupid thought. We write a book? I don't know how to write a book. So I Googled how to write a book, for obvious reasons, because I don't know how to write a book. And it said, you need 50,000 words to write a book, which is all the words I've ever written in my entire life combined, right? 50,000 words is a lot of words. But Anu Aunty was a strong motivation. So I decided I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to start writing. The first 5,000 words were easy, but after that you really have to turn off the word counter, because then you keep checking how many words you've written. So I wrote, and I managed to finish 45,000 words. It had 4,000 spell checks, which I didn't bother to correct. I went to the local Xerox shop, I printed it out, spiral bound it, sent it to the first publisher that showed up on Google. Month later, I get a mail in my inbox saying, hey, we want to publish your book. I was like, no wonder Chetan Bhagat gets published in India. If I can get published, anybody in the world can get published. This is what the book was called. It's called How I Braved Anu Aunty and Co-founded a $1 million company. And I wrote this book because I really wanted to tell my story. about how millions of students and people around this country, their dreams are shattered because they care too much about what other people think about them, right? So the book got launched, and surprisingly, it did well. Like, it went on the bestseller list instantly. It got on all the recommendations, and I even found an auto guy in my book. It ended up selling 500,000 copies, and I realized that Indians don't like to get something for which they want to pay. So I decided to pirate my own book. I uploaded my own book on torrent so more people can read it, because that's the best thing to do if you want to reach out to more people. And now a major production studio in Bombay is making the book into a film, right? The funny thing is, that's the beauty of being stupid, right? Our parents always tell us, don't be stupid. Dude, I think if you're stupid, you can do much more in life than being smart, right? I would have never written this book if I was smart, because I'm not a writer. I don't know how to write. But I wrote it. It came out, right? It was the stupidest decision of my life, but it transformed my life completely. The funny thing is, each and everybody in this room has talent that you cannot imagine you have. I never thought I could be a writer. I couldn't finish a composition in school. Trust me, each and every one of you can do things you cannot even imagine if you give it a shot. The funny thing is, I wrote this book because I really wanted to promote my company, because 2 years into our company, we hadn't raised funding by then. So I thought, how do you market an e-commerce company without funding? Because that's the only way you can market an e-commerce company. That's the only reason e-commerce companies take funding. So I thought maybe the book will help, right? So, people read the book and get to know about the company. Because the book is about how I started my company. And that's exactly what it did. You usually pay somebody else to market your company. Here, people reading my book, getting to know about my brand, and the publisher was paying me. So we reversed the marketing process, right? That is the beauty of entrepreneurship. That is the beauty of entrepreneurship. There is no rule. There are no rules. There are no textbook gyan. If marketing says you got to pay someone to do something, in entrepreneurship, people can pay you for doing the same thing. Funny thing is, I fool you guys as well. You guys paid me to come here and promote my own company, right? And I'm getting paid for it. See? And it's really exciting to fool a room full of advertising people. I now come to the last part of my talk. The talk is about my friend. This is who he is. I don't know if you guys know him. His name is Vicky Roy. Vicky comes from a very humble background. Comes from a very, very poor background in Delhi. At the age of 8, he ran away from home because his relatives used to beat him up. He landed at the New Delhi railway station, where he started working as a rag picker. He would collect empty water bottles and make 2 to 3 rupees a day, from which he would buy one samosa. That would be his meal for the day. That was Vicky's life. Living in the New Delhi railway station was not fun. He used to get beaten up by the police, by fellow rag pickers, by everybody. A few years later, by the age of 14, an NGO found him, and they offered him one meal a day, and also the job of carrying tripods for photographers. Now, when he saw these photographers in action, he said, dude, there's so much you can say with just one photograph. You can say an entire story with just one image. I have so many stories to tell because I've lived through so much. I want to be a photographer. So he started pestering these photographers to teach him photography. Vicky was a rag picker, and nobody took interest. They all shooed him away. Nobody was interested in teaching him photography. Vicky did not give up. 2 years later, this German photographer comes along, and he tries teaching Vicky photography. Vicky does not know how to speak in English. He does not know how to express himself in English. So just the comedy and the lost in translation bit between the two people, a German photographer and a guy who cannot understand, was amazing. But somehow, passion overcomes everything. The German photographer was able to teach Vicky photography. And now what Vicky would do, he would sell his empty water bottles, collect money for a month, so he could rent out a camera and take photographs. 6 years later, Vicky was one of the 6 photographers chosen across the world to shoot the reconstruction of the World Trade Center in New York, was invited to have tea with the Queen at Buckingham Palace, and is now one of the most prominent photographers in Delhi, earning a lot of money. The reason why Vicky's story is important, because it's a story about all of us. Each and every one of us has a dream, has an idea, has something to do, wants to prove something, wants to do something in life. Because that's the whole reason why we're here, right? We're here to make a dent. We're here to create an impact. Because the only way we can be immortal is by creating an impact that stays for much longer after our death. And all I want to tell you guys is, no matter what your dream is, no matter what you want to do in life, don't ever, ever give that up. Don't ever. And for that, don't think, just do. Thank you.
What do people call you normally?
Me, Varun.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's about it.
You know what, I think to the audience, because we keep meeting people and we are in a business of, meeting with, lots of people from various walks of life. I think something that got picked up was that pure,
That's a lot of
the
issue.
straightforwardness, the honesty, and you were speaking right from the heart. Yeah, so I think amazing what you
Thanks.
have done. Absolutely superb. It's extremely inspirational. And naturally for the, the youth and the lot of people in this place, guys like you, you just come and, just make us feel that, we should have done something. But anyway, I'll take some questions.
Sure.
There are lots of questions that naturally, which have come up. We'll try and pick, so we'll try and pick some that, and we'll try to also choose one which is absolutely the
Yeah,
best.
sure, I
where,
love that, yeah.
We have to give away a prize,
Yeah.
okay?
You just said that I wish I could have done something.
No, I represented a lot
Yeah.
of us.
Whoever you represent, and I just want to say that.
Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, if you're gonna think age is an issue, just Google stories of people who've started up at any age, right? And if you're gonna think that now I'm too old, that's the stupidest thing that you could ever think of. I mean, look at Hugh Hefner, dude. Like, the guy has 3 girlfriends and he's probably just gonna pop any day, right? It's all about how you perceive yourself. So yeah.
Okay, so we have some questions.
Yeah.
Let me start with something which is a bit on the lighter side.
Sure.
So, Nandan from Cartwheel. Given a chance to collaborate with Karan Johar, what kind of film would you want to make?
Oh, I don't aspire to collaborate with Karan Johar because I don't aspire to make feature films. I don't think feature films are relevant anymore. I think 2-minute videos are more relevant. I think there was a time, when I wanted to make feature films. I can make a 2-minute video and reach out to 50 million people, and I can make that video in 2 days. Why would I spend 2 years making a film that may or may not reach even 10 million people? I think feature films are completely irrelevant now. And if you look at Hollywood, they're even more irrelevant. All they have is superheroes and action, and that's it. So I think cinema as a concept is dead, but short form films and short form videos is what's going to survive.
So there's one more interesting one. It's a very simple question, but I think there's something that I think we all keep asking. There's Nadeem from World 7 Media Craft. Do you really feel doing things always without thinking invariably works out? And how? Means, I understand you go with your gut and all, but you keep saying that, just go ahead and do it. But most of us, we really think hard before we take a step. What's working for you?
Well, I didn't talk about the number of times I failed. I mean, I made it look like a fairy tale story. But if you look at the number of times I failed, that gave me more learning than anything else. See, we Indians have this strong taboo against failure, right? We say, okay, just to give an example, like if you say, okay, fine, this guy said don't think, I'm going to stop thinking, I'm going to do this. And then you end up failing in that. You have to realize that you probably learned 10 more things had you not failed, right? So use that failure to become better and better and better until you succeed. But do not ever look at failure as something bad. Failing is the best thing. I'd rather fail 10 times and succeed just once because those 10 times will tell me how not to fail again, right? So the only reason why people say that, it may work or it's luck and all of that is because people are scared of failing.
So there is Imesh from Sarva Integrated who asks, are you married?
No,
What happens if you don't think about it before you take a decision? That's how you lead your life.
Well, that's the only thing I'm going to think a lot about.
And that's going against your personality. So what do you do?
Well, see there again, like if you notice, I think I've seen so many couples who are married who just want to get divorced but won't because they're too scared about what people will think. So if I don't think and I get married and I'm not in it, I will divorce because it'll be happy for her, it'll be happy for me, right? And if there are any couples out there in the audience who are not happy with their marriages and can't make it work and are not getting divorced because you're too worried about what other people think about you, get divorced. That's the happiest decision you'll ever take in your life.
So there's Rohan More from JWT Mumbai who asks that, what are your thoughts on technology, which is basically making people very lazy?
Well, in a way, it's making people very lazy, but you can't stop it. That's where the world is moving, right? But technology is also helping. The number of people who have jobs now is amazing. Technology is like cancer. Eventually, it's going to kill the world. If you've seen Terminator and you've seen everything, you know where technology heads. The problem is that Cancer is something that still can't be stopped. Technology is like that. It can't be stopped. You can't fight it. You can probably slow it down, but you can't fight it. So to ask whether it'll really destroy the world, I think it will destroy the world. I really wish I could live to that to see how awesome that would be. But yeah, if you ask me, technology is something bad, but is also something really awesome.
So there's Labonita Ghosh from DNA who asks, you make it sound like your life is a series of fortunate accidents. As someone who inspires other people, is it fair to make it appear like hard work counts for nothing?
Hard work is the only thing that counts, but hard work without risk and hard work without, not thinking really doesn't matter. And what is really more important is that if I wouldn't present this fairy tale or story to you all, probably somebody here would not go and follow their dreams. Even in one person in this entire room tomorrow goes and decides to do what they really love. I think I've created some sort of an impact then, right? That's all matters to me, right?
And maybe the final question, there's Akshay from TIC who asks, how are you so sure about everything that you're speaking at such a young age?
Well, obviously Anu Auntie's influence is very strong there. The thing about what I learned about how to be so sure is to scream a lot, because people think when you scream a lot, that means you're damn confident and you know what you're talking about, right? So I'm just hoping that everybody really thinks that I know what I'm talking about, but nobody can ever be sure, trust me.
So this is it's not here, but just one quick one. We keep asking a lot of our young people when we meet them and all. Earlier we used to ask them, what are your plans, what do you want to do, and what do you want? Do you have any plans? What do you want to do in the next 3 to 5 years, or you're just taking life the way it's coming?
Well, I have some plan, but I hate planning because it never goes as per plan, right? I think for me, that revelation happened when I was in school, where I would have my study plans, when I would say I would spend 1 week, I would make a timetable to study before my exams, and it would never happen as per plan. Then I would really study hard for an exam, and I would really score bad marks in that. And when I would really try something really hard in, I would never be successful in it. So what it really dawned on me is that when you plan something, and when you want to be successful in something, the way the world works, it'll make sure you're not successful in that. It'll make sure that you do not succeed. So the best thing is not to worry about the outcome. It's like when you're trying to get a girl, right? I mean, I'm speaking from a guy's perspective. Please don't make it a feminist issue. When you're chasing a girl, the best part is the chase, because when you get the girl, it's all downhill from there, right? But the chase is what counts, right? And the chase is the most exciting period. So whether you get the girl or not is immaterial. If the chase keeps going on and on, I think that's the most exciting phase.
So maybe the final one. If you were, this comes from Soumitra of Interactive Avenue. If you were not an entrepreneur, where do you think you would have been? What would have been your alternate career?
Wow, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I still think I will go and try and be an archaeologist. In fact, I've been trying to apply to a lot of schools abroad to study archaeology. I want to give up everything that I'm doing in the next 2 years so that I could just study archaeology and probably be an archaeologist for 5 years, because then that would make me happy then. Just like how people say human beings are not supposed to be monogamous, right? We're actually not monogamous in the things we do as well. We get bored very easily. We have a very short attention span. The sooner you accept that, the happier you will be. You can't keep doing the same thing all your life. You'll hate it, right? Just look at your wife, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you cannot keep doing the same thing. Keep doing different things, or have a steady career and alternate that with a lot of other things. I know people who are in the IT industry but are now DJs, right? Because just that didn't give them all the satisfaction. But we are not monogamous in anything that we do. Whether it comes to love, whether it comes to career, whether it comes to passion, keeps changing. That's what makes us alive. Because there is so much the world can offer, why do one thing? It's almost like traveling, right? If you have the entire world, will you just keep traveling to Thailand? No, right? You just won't keep going to Thailand. You want to see other countries as well, right? So that's what I'm saying. The world has so much to offer, and everything is at your fingertips. You can do anything you want by Googling it. Trust me, I became a filmmaker by Googling. I became an entrepreneur by Googling. I became a writer by Googling. I'm going to become an archaeologist by Googling. Google whatever you want to do, and you will be that person.